Hello there and welcome back to my channel. I make several videos a week all about cruelty-free beauty, so if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, I hope you'll please consider subscribing. This video I want to do two looks with one of the new e.l.f. Cosmetics eyeshadow palettes. This is their Perfect 10 eyeshadow and this one is in Nude Rose Gold. And it looks like that. Now, I believe some of these in this line are like re-releases in this new packaging, and there may be a new formula from their bite-sized eyeshadow palettes, I believe. I know these have been out already for probably a month or two by now, but my Walmart is pretty slow in getting new makeup releases, so they just recently got these, and they only had this one. I want the one that has a little bit more of color to it. I believe it has some brighter colors in it. I would love to pick that one up, but my Walmart didn't have that one. And I haven't really been shopping online recently, and I haven't been to any other stores other than my Walmart, so I haven't been able to pick that one up. But I want to do two looks with this eyeshadow palette. There are 10 shades, so each look I'll be using 5 shades. I did have a random generator pick out the 5 shades I'd be using for each look. I just love doing that. I think it makes me be more creative that way. But the shimmer shades in this palette swatch pretty good. The mattes didn't really swatch the best. I had to really build up the matte shades in this palette, so we'll see how they perform on the eyes. But let's go ahead and get into look number 1. Okay, for the first look, these are the shades that the random generator picked out for me. So let's see what we can do with this. So I'm first going to use this shade right here on a blending brush from e.l.f. And then I'm going to start placing that in my crease. I really had to build up a swatch with this shade, so I don't know how it might apply on the eyes. I had to build it up in a swatch maybe about 2 or 3 times to get the color to really kind of show up pretty good. Because it kind of wanted to go on a little patchy in a swatch, but it seems to be doing pretty good on the eyes. But the shimmers in this palette swatched beautifully. Yeah, that shade went on pretty smoothly on the eye, so I'm glad to see that. Okay, I'm going in with this shade right here on a flat eyeshadow brush from e.l.f. And I'm going to start packing that on this outer half of my lid. And then I'm going back in with that blending brush and just start blending around the edge of that shimmer shade, because that shade is a shimmer. And using that same flat eyeshadow brush, I'm going in with this shade right here in the palette. And start placing that on this inner portion of my lid. That shade is more pigmented than I thought it would be, because usually these shades like this kind of blend right into my skin tone, so it has a lot more pigment to it. Okay, and then on a small angle brush, I'm going in with this shade right here. And I'm going to run that on my lower lash line, but this shade I'm just taking halfway. I have another shimmer shade that I'm going on the beginning half. So we're just going to take this right here. And using that same brush, I'm going in with this shade right here. And with that one, I'm putting that on the beginning portion of my lower lash line. And then I'm going back in with this shade right here on that flat eyeshadow brush. And I'm going to place a little bit of that on this inner corner, just to kind of brighten it up in here. Of course, this is a matte shade, but it's a nice and bright shade. Okay, I'm just going to quickly do some mascara and some lashes, and I'll be right back to show you the finished look. And here are the eyes all done. But that's the first look with this palette, so stay tuned for look number 2. Okay, here is the color scheme that it picked for my second look. Or, well, these are the last 5 shades left, I should say. These two look almost similar to one another, but there's a slight difference. You can see one's a little more warm toned than the other. But I feel like on the eyes, they're probably going to look about the same. So I'm taking a pointed eye pencil brush from e.l.f. and I'm going in with this shade right here. And I'm going to start placing that right in my crease. I keep going in with small amounts to build it up. I didn't want to get too much too soon, so I like to build up my shadows. Okay, then I'm going to take a concealer brush from e.l.f. and I'm going in with this shade right here. It's basically like a flat eyeshadow brush, but they call it concealer. And I'm going to start stamping that on this outer portion. I really tapped off the excess with this shade because I did do my face already, the rest of my face, so I'm going to be very careful. And then I'm just going to take that also on this beginning portion of my lid. Do kind of like a halo eye today. And then I'm going back in with that first little crease brush that I use and just blend around that deep shade. Just to ensure there's no harsh edges. Okay, then I'm going to take this shade right here. I'm just going to use my finger for this shade and place that right here in the center. Okay, and then I'm going to take this shade on a small angled brush from e.l.f. And for that shade, I did spray my brush because it is really glittery. And I don't want that to fall all over my face, even though I love glitter, but I've already done the rest of my makeup. So I want to keep it on that lower lash line. And then I'm going in with this shade on that same angled brush. And I'm going to pop that in this inner corner. Okay, I'm just going to put on my mascara and a pair of lashes and I'll be right back to show you the finished look. Okay, and here are the eyes all done. And for my lashes, I'm wearing the LA Colors 3D Faux Mink lashes in the style Laura. Well, that's the second look with this palette, and I have now used all 10 shades in this eyeshadow palette. I don't think this is a bad palette. I don't believe you'd be disappointed if you purchased it, but do you really need this? Well, no, I wouldn't say so, unless you are someone who you really love neutral tones and these shades just speak to you, then you might want it. Or if you're a collector of e.l.f.'s eyeshadow palettes, then you might want it as well. But I mean, all in all, if you have a lot of neutral palettes, then I don't think you really need this one. I think the shimmers, in my opinion, perform better than the mattes. When I'm swatching the mattes on my hand, like I had here, and then when I swatched them before, I really had to build up the mattes to get them to show up in a swatch. So I think at least this particular palette, the shimmers are the stars. Now, they are a little chunky when you swatch them. I do want to point that out as well. But they have a lot of sparkle in them and they feel really soft in the pans. So I can see them having a little bit of flakiness to them, but I think they're beautiful. They give almost like a wet look. I do like the shimmers in this palette. But thank you so very much for watching this video. It truly means the world to me. Thank you for commenting, for liking, for subscribing. It really means a lot. And I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!